It's me, I'm here. Hang tough, folks. I'll be right with you. Zipping in pronto, right away. Hi everybody, your old pal Stevie Coyle here, off camera for the moment. Swooping in after a worthy experiment that didn't go exactly as planned. Well, it did go exactly as planned. I wanted to know if it would work, and it didn't work, so it's a success. How's that for cockeyed optimism? And let's see, make sure I got some people here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I've got two guitars to show you today, both from the 1960s. I never know what's going to come in when. Just so happens the two guitars from the 1960s strolled in yesterday, and they're both very cool. Imagine my surprise. Come on in, make yourselves at home. Sign in if you like. Let us know where you're webbing in from. As you know, that's always of interest. I still get a big Dick Tracy charge out of all of this. This is like wrist radios, man. And I just get a big bang out of it. I really do. And I guess that camera can go up a little bit. More better? Like that? Yeah, I think so. Okay, good. Righto. Okay. Boy, have I got some cool stuff to show you today. Here is a 1961 Gibson Hummingbird. Wow. Oh my goodness, I could not help myself but play some Pete. This is, I'm not sure this is the exact same kind of guitar that Pete Townsend played, but that sound you hear all over Tommy is probably a J200. This is a Hummingbird, but it's a big old Gibson from the 60s. It has that automatic kind of compression sound. Let me suggest, Next time you're listening to your smart speaker or whatever, tune in Pinball Wizard. If you haven't heard it in a while, it's still fantastic. And listen for that sound. By rights, the beginning starts off kind of... That whole business sounds kind of small-ish. And then when it goes into the real fast strummy bit, goes into that, it should be much louder. It isn't. That's compression. That's what happens. Sometimes it happens, in the studio. Frequently it happens in the studio, where they just kind of squish the whole sound. The lows get up and the ups get lowed. And you get this kind of big mid-rangey, blocky sort of sound. And it's great for rhythm guitar. Gibson guitars, big Gibson guitars like this jumbos, this is a dreadnought style body, jumbos and dreadnoughts do that anyway. I don't know how they do that. Frequently in a studio, in a recording studio, I remember in a couple I was in, they'd say, well, your lovely Martin, your Collings, your Thompson, whatever you got there is lovely, but if you're going to play rhythm guitar, why don't you play this Gibson we have over here in the corner, because we know it records really, really well. True enough. Let me see. Who else here? Make sure things are happening properly. Hi, Pete Stern. Nancy Paul is watching. Thanks for coming back, folks, those of you that came back. I was trying a little live stream off of a GoPro camera, and it's a whole different animal, and it kind of cheats. It shows you one thing, and then what you end up delivering gets delivered to the screen is rather different. Operator error, I'm quite sure. Hey, no, Todd. Hi, Tom Lamson. Very good. Much better. Thank you, Nancy. Hi, Jane. Very good. From Bonnie Doon. Aye. Bonnie Doon. Steve O'Brien. Chico here. Very good. Hey, John Reynolds. Nice to see you again in the virtual realms. Very good. So anyway, that's one of the guitars I wanted to show you today. I haven't really put a price on this thing yet, a price tag on it yet. Let me tell you a little bit about it. Mahogany back and sides, spruce top. Really narrow at the nut. That's on the narrow side of 1 11/16. It's not exactly like playing a mandolin, but it's a lot like playing a mandolin. Trying to get all your fingers in there is a little tough. I find myself having to squish down. And the great irony is the second guitar I'm going to show you has a very wide nut and fingerboard. They don't tune themselves. So if you're looking for a big sound with tons of bass but great compression, so that instead of being real boomy like a Martin can be, that's kind of what you're after with a Martin Dreadnought. With this kind of guitar, you'll get a lot of mid-range. Tons of mid-range. And like I say, this kind of acoustic compression that happens, where it saturates beautifully. All of those notes jump out at the same volume at the same time. Well, to be continued. I want to drag you over to the other guitar that came in yesterday. I was just sitting here minding my own business, and these guitars came in. Here's a Martin New Yorker. On the other end of the spectrum, a very small guitar. This is an O-size guitar. Martin guitars, as many of you know, kind of dreadnought. There are quadruple O's, but you don't see them too much. Also called the M series. Below that is the triple O OM series. Slightly smaller in all dimensions. Below that is a double O. Below that is a single O. And this 0016, very kind of simple guitar, nothing fancy. Again, mahogany and spruce. This is kind of the ultimate folk guitar from the 60s. And the great thing about these things is you can string them with either steel or nylon. They're braced slightly enough that you can do that. Now this is kind of more of a finger-picking guitar. Of course, you can play any kind of music on any guitar, of course. But things are maximized for certain types of music. This might be on a little bit on the wide side of 1 3/4. I've forgotten exactly what the specs are on an 016 NY. But it was kind of designed to bridge the gap in the 60s. I think they were only really around for the 60s, 61 through 69 perhaps. This is at the end of the series. And kind of designed to be the every person's guitar. If you wanted nylon strings on there, you could string it with nylon and it would sound okay. It would still activate the top in a lovely way. You could go with light gauge strings on it as well. You get more of the sound that was creeping up on folk ears in the 60s, and that's towards the steely end of things. Brighter, more sizzle. Not that kind of folky, oh God, I hate the term warmth, but you know how a nylon string guitar has, typically the way it was played in the 60s, kind of lightly finger-picked, strummed, arpeggiated. That was kind of warm sounding. This still has warmth, but it's got more sizzle to it because it's strung with steel strings, bronze strings. Real wide, and gets wider as you move up here. So if you're a thumb over person, like I am, you might want to be careful of a guitar like this. Make sure that your hand is going to fit all around it. But you won't know until you come in and play it, will you? So please do come in, 85 Lafayette Circle, Lafayette, California. If you can't come in person, hit me up for a video session. We can do a little video audition of the guitars on Skype or FaceTime or Zoom. Everybody uses Zoom for stuff, but you know what? The sound is better on Skype. Even when you turn off the original sound, turn on the original sound for musicians checkbox on Zoom, Skype still sounds better. So if you've got a Skype account still, let's do that. Be glad to demo any of the guitars in the shop for you, not just the New Yorker, 69 New Yorker, or the 61 Hummingbird. Now the story on the Hummingbird, I'll finish up with this. The fellow who owns it, his buddy passed away and gave him the guitar. What happened was, the fellow, once still alive, of course, Coyle, once still alive, decided he didn't like the pickguard, which, let's face it, hovers on the edge of, holy smokes, what the hell's going on there? So he decided he'd make his own, and he did a good job. He got himself a slab of Brazilian rosewood, very nice, and made his own pickguard. Removed the original pickguard, put this on there, and this is how the fellow who brought it into my shop got the guitar, was like this, with just one pickguard, not layered like this. And he said, oh my goodness. He talked to the fellow's wife and said, is that old pickguard around anywhere? And she said, I don't think so. So he decided wisely to talk to Gibson and get an original style pickguard, and he slapped it on here, and it's a good job. He's got it glued on there nicely. In the meantime, of course, Murphy's Law kicks in hard when it kicks in. In the meantime, the previous owner's wife found the original pickguard, which actually I think looks really cool. It's got this more kind of browny, tortoiseshell looking hue to it instead of red on red, which is... So that comes with it as well. So all of these options, kids. It's a 1961 Hummingbird. It's in great playing shape. It looks like a 1961. The top is crazed. There's some dings on it. It's been loved. It's been loved a lot, which is great because it's opened up. It's been played so that it sounds like that. Again, narrow fingerboard, but if that's your thing, wow, what a great guitar. And there's nothing sounds like that for rhythm guitar, especially for recording. So if you're outfitting your home studio and figure, wow, why doesn't my Martin, my Collings, my Santa Cruz, Dreadnought sound great on recordings? I have to do all this stuff to ameliorate that bass response, which is so huge. For the low price of $9,500 or thereabouts, we haven't really landed on a price there, but somewhere in the nines. But there aren't a lot of these left. They got played to death. Frequently people played them and played them and played them and didn't take particularly good care of them. And actually this guitar has been taken very good care of. It's just that it wasn't played to death the way a lot of us played our first guitars to death, where there was just no chance of bringing them back to life after we got done with them. Wow, great sounds both. And so you can hear the other one kind of right next to it. It's real extremes here. Big saturation, big articulation. And even with steel strings, this has a bit of that nylon string sound. And in fact, I think I'm going to restring this guitar and give it a little extra light action. There are light gauge strings on there and it works fine, and the neck is in great shape. Neither of these guitars need a reset, even at their advanced age. I think I mentioned last week, any guitar that was made when I was alive shouldn't be referred to as vintage. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. But apparently they are, and there it is. So a couple of vintage guitars, a real fingerstyle guitar, a very friendly couch guitar if you're looking for a sofa sweetheart, a couch cuddler, something to play while you're watching Netflix or sports. Great guitar, great guitar. Somewhere in the threes for this, and somewhere in the nines for this. Where's my flat pick? Well, I'll leave you with that. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the thread below. I'll get to them as pronto as I can. The Quitters are playing this weekend. Myself and Glenn Houston, Glenn Pomyanik, and Chris Key are playing out in Martinez, California, in front of Rocks on Main tomorrow night, Saturday night between 7 and 9. And then Sunday afternoon, we're at the Livermore Library. So even though it's got a funny name, Livermore is a great little town. And it's got a great library with a great performing arts series. And we played there, I don't know, Glenn, I think I played it solo a couple of times, and Glenn and I played there a couple of times. This time we'll have Chris Key with us, which is really something, I have to admit. It's so much fun to play as the trio. It's always a great time playing with Glenn, but Chris really just adds this deep groove and wonderful bright vibe to everything and makes us moderately fabulous. So, like I say, questions and comments, load them up down in the thread. I'll let you go and deal with those questions and comments then. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for dealing with the stutter stop that we had at the outset there. And great to see you all. I'll tune in next week because I'll be featuring at least next week a Kevin Corcoran guitar in Brazilian rosewood. He's a very special builder that I've sold many of his guitars through the shop. Here's one more came in. Great builder. He used to run the Gilroy Guitar Gallery near Gilroy, California, near Salinas, California. Amen. Go Cowboys. And be featuring that guitar and whatever else comes in. I never know. I'll let you know then. Thanks for tuning in. Stevie Coyle here, Mighty Fine Guitars, Lafayette, California. Telephone number if you want to give a call or shoot a text. It's real easy to remember. Yak, Ant, Taco. Just punch that into your phone and I'll say hello or respond to your text. Down the road, everybody. Stevie Coyle signing off.